Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah, and today we are going to talk about grow lights. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for your patience over the last couple of weeks. I know I've been kind of hit or miss with videos, so if you don't already know, I teach high school, and we have been switching from in-person learning to remote over the last couple of weeks, and I've been super busy at work getting that all taken care of. So thank you all for your patience as I've put my focus into my primary job over the last couple of weeks. So winter is coming if it's not already here for you in your part of the world, and with that comes shorter days, less daylight, and a need for supplemental light with your plants. So I've gotten a lot of questions lately about grow lights, which kind I use, how I use them, that sort of thing. So I thought I'd do just a quick video going over some of the grow light experience that I have. Now, this is not going to be a full in-depth video on the science behind grow lights. Betsy Begonia actually has a really good one where she digs into some of the science and some of the terms that you need to know, things like lumens and different parts of the spectrum and those kinds of things. So I'll go ahead and link to her video down below because it is excellent, and if you want to know everything there is to know about grow lights, she is the person to check out. I really just wanted to talk today about my personal experience with grow lights, a couple different types that I have used, things that you might want to take into consideration when you are looking at whether or not you even need grow lights. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about grow lights. So the first thing I want to make clear is my own personal conditions here. I always like to specify and clarify kind of where I live, what my conditions are like in my house, so that you can adjust your expectations and what you might need based around that. So I live in Colorado, and the part of Colorado I live in is very, very sunny. We get over 300 sunny days per year. So wonderful for getting that vitamin D, for being outside, and wonderful for growing houseplants. In addition, the house that I live in has fully south, west, and east facing windows. I don't have any north facing windows, and I don't have any really close other houses or buildings next to my house. So I get pretty much unobstructed daylight most of the day. Especially during the winter time, I do have a couple large trees that are outside, but when those shed their leaves, I'm pretty much getting just full sun all day long. So take that into consideration with what I say. I'm just looking for a little bit of supplemental light to fill in a little bit with the shorter days, maybe if there have been a lot of cloudy days in a row, that kind of thing. I'm not looking to fully replace sunlight. I'm just looking to supplement it a little bit with my grow lights. So now that I've shared a little bit about my conditions with you, that is the very first thing that you want to take into consideration when you're looking for grow lights or considering, do you even need grow lights? So taking into consideration, where are you in the world? How many days of sunlight do you get? How bright is that sunlight? Are there buildings obstructing the light? So what is the level of light that you are just naturally getting in your house? Also, you want to take into consideration the room in which most of your plants are going to be, or where you're thinking about putting the grow lights. Now, this room here, my plant room where I have my grow lights, actually has a south and an east facing window, so it gets lots and lots of light, and it is perfect for converting into a plant room. That being said, if I were going to put plants in another room in my house, say my master bathroom or my laundry room that don't have any windows and no natural light at all, I would want to take that into consideration and consider a different type of grow light. So after you've taken that all into consideration, your conditions and what kind of supplemental light you might need and how much supplemental light you might need, the next thing to think about is your desired outcome. What are you looking for from these grow lights? Now, that might mean you want to fully replace sunlight. You're going to put a grow tent or some plants in a location that there is no natural sunlight, and you're wanting to use that space. That is going to be completely different than just wanting to fill in a little bit of sunlight for those kind of cloudy days, or maybe it's a darker corner in an actually sunny room. Also taking into consideration what types of plants you're growing, how much light they want. So as you'll see when we go over to my shelf with my grow lights on it, there are a variety of plants on there, and they all want a little bit different type of light. I am not expecting these lights that I have on this shelf to be able to do much more than just supplement light and maybe encourage a little bit of extra growth through the dark parts of the year. I am not expecting them to be able to sun stress my Hoyas or let's say I wanted to put some sort of a fruiting plant, grow some tomatoes in here. I am not expecting him to be able to do that. That would be a different type of light. So just laying out and managing those expectations of what is it that you want those lights to be able to do will help you in deciding what kind of a light you might need. The next thing to take into consideration is the location of the lights. Now, I know we've already talked a little bit about location within your house and how much light there is, but you also want to take into consideration how much space you have for these grow lights and what type of grow light might fit best in that space. Keeping in mind, you might need a certain amount of distance or closeness from that light to your plants, the amount of space that you have to kind of put the light into place and how it might be attached or hang. You might also need to take into consideration how much it spreads or how much you want it to kind of filter down if you have a multi-layered grow tent or something like that. You need to take all of those different things into consideration when you're thinking about what physical shape you want those lights to be in. You'll also want to take into consideration your power sources. So knowing where the nearest outlet is, how long of a cord do you need, or maybe you already have a light socket there that you can just screw in an actual grow light bulb into that space. All of those things are going to help you decide the actual physical type of light that you're going to need. You'll also want to take into consideration your own personal schedule and your plant care needs. So like I said, I'm a teacher. I am gone most of the day. Sometimes I'm even doing after school activities. So I am very much about the convenience, the automation, those kinds of things when it comes to my grow lights. So that was something very important when I was looking for what type of grow lights that I wanted, something that was really easy to set, that would turn itself on and off and require very little thought or maintenance. And the last thing to think about is just the type of light that you might like. This might be aesthetically that you would like some sort of a light that kind of disappears and looks like it's part of the shelf. Maybe the color, the spectrum of the light, whether you want something that looks more like a natural light or if you're okay with some of those more pink and magenta tones, those kinds of things. Thinking about maybe even if there's a socket there that you would like to just put a grow light into a socket that's already existing somewhere in your house. Those things are also going to help you determine what light is going to work best for you. So I'll talk about a couple different types of lights that I use for growing my plants. I will explain a little bit about them. I have some notes here, and then I will take you over to wherever they are and show you a little bit more in detail. So the first lights that I'm going to talk about are actually right over here. They are the ones that I've installed on my little shelf. I think it's a little bookshelf that I got at Walmart or something like that. And they were very specifically purchased so that I could actually attach them to those shelves. I didn't have a lot of extra space. So they are very, very thin strip lights. So because they are very, very thin lights, they don't have very high lumens, they're not putting out a lot of light. This means that I am just using them as supplemental light here. Again, this room gets plenty of light on its own. I'm just trying to help kind of fill in some of those gaps, maybe give them a couple extra hours of sunlight or get some extra sun to the ones that are sitting more on the back of the shelves. These lights were about $31, $32 on Amazon. I'll make sure that I link to all the lights that I mentioned down below. So if you want to check them out for yourself, go ahead. So they were very inexpensive, which was a great reason for me to purchase them. They're very, very small and thin, so they just stick to my shelves, as you'll see when we go over there. And they have their own automation system to them. Now, I know that you can rig anything up to be automated or be controlled by your phone, and in fact, I have other things in this house that I have done that too, so I'm very familiar with automating things without it being a part of the system. But it was actually really nice that these came with the ability to automate them to go on and off at a certain time of day. You just turn it on when you want them to go on. So I think I have mine set to go on about 8 in the morning, something like that. And then you can set how many hours you want them to run. I believe it is 6, 8, and 12. I would have to double check that, but I believe those are the increments, and I have it set to run for 12 hours. So it runs from about 8 a.m. to about 8 p.m. every day, which is perfect. I don't have to think about it. It turns on. And because they are low energy, low lumen lights, I don't have to worry about leaving them on all day while I'm gone. So I just let them run every single day. I've now had these lights for probably close to 6 months, if not more, and I have run them every single day for 12 hours, just letting them run on automation, and I have not had a single problem with them. So I do highly recommend these lights if you're looking for a very little bit of just supplemental light for your shelves. In spite of being low lumen lights, they do run on a full spectrum, so you are getting the kind of wide spectrum, the wide variety of light that your plants might need. And I have noticed really great results as we go over there. You'll see there is a lot of new growth happening on a lot of these plants. So I do recommend, again, if you're looking for just a tiny bit of supplemental light. So here is my plant shelf, and it is sitting right next to a south facing and then an east facing window. And then here underneath, you can see my plant shelves. They're not particularly full at the moment. I've moved some stuff around. I need to do a little plant maintenance back here. But really what I'm here to talk about are these grow lights. So they do come with some little sticky backs. So all you have to do is put the adhesive on there and then stick them underneath. And this one actually came with 3 lights, so you could stick them all on the same shelf if you wanted to. But then you can also do like I've done and divided them out to different shelves. Here is the controller, and you can set it, like I said, for 3 hours, 6 hours, or 12 hours. I think I had my hours wrong earlier, but that you can set it for the different times. You can change the amount of light that's on, or you can only have one shelf on at a time, or all 3 shelves on at a time. It does also come with different brightness levels, so if for some reason this was too much light and you didn't want this much, you could do a lesser amount of light as well. So as you can see, my Hoyas are actually putting on quite a bit of new growth. Most of them are doing really well, but they're not sun stressed. Like my Obscura here, you can see would get a little bit of sun stressing, but it has not. So these lights are not powerful enough to give it that, but definitely they are enjoying their life here. These were already sun stressed, plus you can see they're getting a little bit of actual sunlight. So yeah, I would recommend these particular lights if you're just looking for something that's a little bit of supplemental light. These are not going to fully replace sunlight. As you can see, it's getting a little bit of afternoon light through the window, but definitely something that will help to supplement and keep your plants growing healthy throughout the winter months. Next up is a light that you may have seen before. It is my Spider Farmer light. I did a full review on this about this time last year and tested it out for a full month. One of the great things about this particular light is just the amount of light that it is capable of producing. It is very bright, very high lumen, again, full spectrum light, but it does run on that nice kind of white light, so it's not going to look harsh or weird if you're running it in your home. Well, while the mounting system is a little bit tricky, it actually is really great if you have a wider area that you need to cover, whether that's inside a grow tent, or as you'll see, my dad actually has it set up in his garage and it covers kind of a wider space. So it actually works really well for those kinds of purposes. So because this light actually has more LEDs and more lumens, it actually is a little bit more expensive. This runs a little bit more like the $150 range, although I did think I saw on Amazon that there is a 5% off coupon right now. I'll make sure I link to the specific model that I have down below. So like I said, this particular model is great if you are wanting to fill like a greenhouse or a grow tent kind of space. Or as you'll see, my dad has it set up so that he can bring in some of his more delicate plants into the garage and keep them hopefully growing throughout the cold winter months. I will share that he was also borrowing this earlier this spring and used it as a starter for his vegetable garden, starting some of his seeds indoors and then moving them outdoors. And he said it worked really well for that purpose too. So it is a great light if you're looking for more of an industrial kind of heavy duty level of light and you're actually wanting to get some things to grow and you're not just supplementing light, you're actually replacing light. It is great for that. It does not come with the ability to change the levels of lights, nor does it come with an automatic system that turns it on and off. Again, you can set that up for yourself with a separate automation system. But if you're looking to just kind of run it all the time, or you are home to kind of turn it on and turn it off, it might be a great option for you. Okay, so I am in my parents' garage, and this is the Spider Farmer version of the light. As you can see, it's actually quite powerful, quite bright, and my dad is using it currently. I'm letting him borrow it in order to keep some of his outdoor plants alive. You can see he's got some herbs back there and some of his kind of more decorative plants. So some things that I really liked about the Spider Farmer, it's really nice and powerful. So if you're looking for something strong, something that will cast quite a bit of light, and you've got the space, maybe you have a grow tent or something like that, it's really a nice setup. It's a really solid piece of equipment. I'll show you some of the top here as well. It does not have a timer on it, so that is something that you could set up separately through the electrical outlet, but just something to be aware of. And it doesn't really have different dimmer settings. So just again, something to be aware of, that you're kind of getting this experience right here. Basically what you see is what you get, but it is really nice and strong and powerful. So if you're wanting some plants that need a little bit brighter light, more full sun, or maybe, like I said, you have a grow tent or a larger space you need to cover, this is definitely a great option for you. And the final kind of light that I wanted to talk about is just kind of emergency, fill in a little tiny bit of supplemental light. Now this is the case with the plants that are above my cabinets in my kitchen. They get pretty decent light for the most part throughout the year, but sometimes if we have maybe say a week of cloudy days, or I haven't been home for a while and the shades have been closed, those kinds of things, it can actually get pretty dark up there. Now this is a case that I would just use the bulbs that are actually already in my home, because those plants are already low light plants and they are up above on my kitchen cabinets pretty close to those lights. I might just flip on a little bit of extra supplemental light and let those lights run even when I'm not in my kitchen, just for a few extra hours of light. So this is not necessarily a long-term solution, nor is it going to cause a lot of extra growth. It's just a way to fill in a little bit of supplemental light if it happens to have been really dark. So that could be an option if you notice a plant maybe looking a little sad or in a corner. You might just stick it under a normal household light bulb. Again, it's not going to do a whole lot, but it can help fill in just the tiniest bit of extra light and maybe keep it from dying. Okay, so this is the space kind of above my kitchen counters. Like I said, most of the stuff up here is low light, liking plants, things that do well up here, and it gets pretty decent light most of the time. But like I said, right above there are some lights. Now I could put some grow lights in those sockets if I wanted to, but since it's my kitchen and I need to use the light for other things as well, I didn't particularly want to. But it is within just a couple of feet of the plants. So like I said, really just when I need to fill in a little bit of light, maybe it's been a dark couple of weeks, really that's the kind of situation where I would just turn these on and leave them on while I'm doing other things around the house, just to supplement just the tiniest amount of light. So I hope that was helpful. Like I said, it was just kind of my personal experience with grow lights, things that I have kind of learned along the way. And hopefully it will help you out if you're just starting out and you don't even know what you need to be looking for or what to consider. Hopefully these will give you some directions to look in. If you found this content useful, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, letting me know you like this kind of video. And if you're not already, hit that subscribe button. I am super excited to let you guys know Happy Hoya Days is coming back this year. I have lots of new Hoyas to share with you guys. If you're not familiar with Happy Hoya Days, I feature a short video on an individual Hoya once a day through kind of the holiday season. I have not yet decided how many days of Hoyas I will be doing. I have to kind of look at what I have and my amount of time that I have, but just know that that is coming back and I will be sharing some of my new and exciting Hoyas with you guys. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys soon with another video. Bye.